So, Madam Speaker, I have to say at the start of this speech today, I can't believe we're still here. I can't believe that we've been talking about this same topic in September, for all of October, and here it is November, and we're still talking. And for those at home that don't know what this privilege motion is about, it all started with Sustainable Development Technology Canada, which is a fund that is supposed to support sustainable technology development. And the fund was created in 2001, and it worked fine under both Liberal and Conservative governments until this corrupt Liberal government got into place. And so basically, they appointed people to the committee that was going to decide who got the money, and they all gave it to their own companies. So the Auditor General found 186 conflicts of interest. A whistleblower implied that there was criminality involved here. And Parliament voted to have the documents related to this scandal produced. And of course, the Liberals did what they always do. They delayed, and then they produced the documents, all blacked out of anything useful. So the Speaker has correctly ruled that they need to produce those documents unredacted, and that no government business or private member's business is going to take place in this House until that happens. And so we've been waiting now for 5 weeks for them to produce the documents. And, I have to say, from bills not coming forward, there are some bills that I'm glad are not coming forward, like the Online Harms Bill, C-63, that absolutely will do nothing to help children that are being sexually exploited online. Everybody wants that to be dealt with. But it creates a parallel system with no criminal consequences, and that will not help anyone. And it also will put you in jail for life if someone thinks you might commit a hate crime in the future. And that is a certain chill on freedom of speech in this country. I also am happy that we don't have the bill coming forward, C-65, which is the bill that would give all of the Liberal and NDP members that are going to lose their seat in the next election, would give them their pensions by moving the election date out a week. Okay? Glad that one's not coming forward. And so, unfortunately, one of the bills that I'd like to see come forward isn't happening. In my riding, as part of the federal redistribution process, they renamed my riding Sarnia-Lambton-Bikeshwanong. Well, the new chief of Bikeshwanong, which is Walpole Island, objects to the use of that name. And so, as soon as I heard that he had objected to it, then I asked it to be part of the bill that is done regularly in this House to alter riding names that need to be changed. So I'm very disappointed that that bill's not coming forward, because I'm not able to do what the chief asked me and what I said I would do, which is bring it forward here. But the reason that we are here is because the Liberals continue to block by not producing the documents. So let's talk about some of the arguments that have been made. The Liberals are saying they don't want to give the documents to the RCMP because, that would be a violation of people's charter rights. And I want to be clear that the RCMP get tips all the time. Crime Stoppers, you name it, they get tips, they follow up on them. There is nothing that's a violation of anybody's charter right with respect to that. Actually, what would happen, is that the RCMP would look into the documents, especially if we give some indication of where they should be looking. But if they do find evidence of criminality, then if they do want to pursue criminal charges, they would have to go to a judge and order those documents to be produced so that they could be officially used in a criminal trial. Okay, so that's where we're at today, and I just want to recap a little bit of the history here of how this fund got so wrong.
The Honourable Government Deputy House Leader.
Madam Speaker, there have been discussions amongst the parties, and if you seek it, I believe you'll find unanimous consent for the following motion. That notwithstanding any standing order, special order, or usual practice of the House, at the expiry of the time for provided for oral questions on Wednesday, December 4th, 2024, the House will resolve itself into Committee of the Whole in order to welcome Canada's 2024 Paris Olympic and Paralympic Games athletes, provided that A, the Speaker make welcoming remarks on behalf of the House, the names of the athletes present be deemed read and printed in the House of Commons debates for that day. C, when the proceedings of the committee have concluded, the committee shall rise. And D, only authorized photographers be permitted to take photos during the proceedings of the committee.
Que tous ceux qui s'opposent
All those opposed to the honourable members moving the motion will please say nay.
la motion veulent bien dire non. D'accord? The House the motion. All those opposed to the motion will please say nay. Carried. The honourable member for Sarnia Lambton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And that will be a real joy to see all of our Olympians, of which we are so proud. So back to the Green Slush Fund scandal. Now, the scandal began with Navdeep Bains, who was then the Minister of Industry, Science and Economic Development. And so he was involved in some questionable things. I want to read to you from one of the newspapers about the time that he stepped down. And they said that he was implicated in a questionable real estate transaction when the former Brampton mayor, Linda Jeffries' chief of staff, Mr. Punia, shared confidential details about a land purchase with Bains and former Liberal MP Raj Grewal. When Brampton Council learned about the behavior, it sent details of the third-party investigation into the matter to the RCMP because the force was already looking into Grewal's activities involving chronic gambling in Ottawa when he served as an MP. The city eventually paid about $1 million extra for the land it was trying to acquire after a group of local businessmen with ties to the Liberals purchased it, then flipped it to the city after Punia had passed on details of the original offer the city had planned to make for the property, which was owned by the province. There's no evidence Bains has ties to the business. Just because you can't find evidence doesn't mean nothing happened there. Grewal was charged in September by the RCMP with 5 counts of fraud and breach of trust for alleged misuse of the constituency office budget while he was an MP after an extensive investigation. So this is the kind of people that you had starting the fund and going forward with it. And then it gets a bit worse because then in 2019, the Minister of Environment and Climate Change currently, he comes along and he's part of those who approved in 2021 the money for the fund. He was a member of cabinet that approved the $1 billion that was going into the slush fund. Now, I have one other thing to say about Navdeep Bains, and that is from another news article. He was in the news again when questions were raised last year about his father's involvement with individuals implicated in a Fort Erie Gurdwara scandal. There's no evidence Bains has any ties with the plan, and he denies any link. The Sikh temple had sponsored 3 priests from India who were given special visas by Ottawa. It turned out that the Gurdwara was not even operating, and the 3 men disappeared after arriving in Canada. So, you know, we've got folks that we don't have any evidence of wrongdoing, but always suspicion. And here we are again with the same thing, because the Minister of Environment and Climate Change was part of cabinet that approved the $1 billion. And in terms of the committee members that were there, one of the committee members was a lady named Andre-Lise Mathot. She was the founder and managing partner of Cycle Capital. And Cycle Capital is a company that the Minister of Environment and Climate Change is invested in. And so, if you look at the Criminal Code, Section 119(1), it says that no holder of public office, i.e. someone like the Minister of Environment and Climate Change, can take an action, i.e. giving $1 billion to the slush fund, that benefits themselves, i.e. his investment in Cycle Capital, which tripled its value through the money that was given to it from the Green Slush Fund. So I certainly think that when the RCMP finish their investigation and are able to see the documents, that it could be the Minister of Environment and Climate Change will be back in his orange pajamas again. He, as we know, was a convicted felon. In 2001, he was charged and convicted and he served a year's probation, 100 hours of community service, and $1,000 of restitution. This is the caliber of corruption that we have in cabinet in the Liberal government, Madam Speaker. And so it's no wonder that things go awry when you have these kind of people that are involved. And the Liberals, they've been trying to suggest that somehow, they need to stand up for the charter rights of Canadians. Well, I certainly wish they would, Madam Speaker, because they haven't. And you are what your record says you are, Madam Speaker. And if we look at the record of the Liberal government on this matter, think about the chill they have put on freedom of speech in this country with C-11, the censorship bill, with C-18, the freedom of the press was, compromised. And then C-63, the online harms bill that I just talked about, once again, violating everyone's charter rights happily. Then, freedom of religion. Madam Speaker, I spoke about this before, but since I spoke about it, things are even escalating further in our country. Did you see what happened? The persecution that the Hindus are facing in Brampton. People out, with knives, violent attacks on temples. Madam Speaker, this government has done nothing about it. They ring their pearls and they say, oh, it's unacceptable, but they've done nothing to ensure that the rule of law in this country is enforced. What is the point of having rules to protect Canadians if they are not enforced? And who, if not the federal government, that is the highest authority to make sure that those rights are protected? Why have they done nothing? 100 or more Christian churches burned in our country, and again, crickets from the Liberals on this. It goes on and on. What has happened to our Jewish Canadians is heartbreaking here. They have been constantly harassed, their synagogues vandalized, their businesses vandalized. They've been death threatened, and nothing has been done. So certainly freedom of religion in this country is on serious jeopardy. Furthermore, if you look at the discrimination that happens, we're supposed to be free from discrimination in this country, but even within the Liberal benches, they're discriminating on age. They decided to give seniors that are, older than 75 more money than the seniors between 65 and 75. Similarly, you've got violations in the minority language rights, where the government has been proven several times in court to not have done what they should have done to protect the minority language rights of Canadians. And, just let me sidebar for a moment and say how proud I am to announce that in Sarnia-Lambton we have the official francophone designation of Ontario. Je suis très heureuse et j'ai travaillé fort.
I am very proud to work together with the francophones of Sarnia-Lambton, and I'm very proud.
The other argument you'll hear from the Liberal benches is that the RCMP doesn't want these documents. Really? The RCMP does not want to see evidence of potential crime? The whistleblower was clear that there was criminality going on. And, it's possible that it's more than one minister. I talked about the Minister of Climate Change and the Environment. But actually, the current minister that's overseeing the Sustainable Development Technology Canada Fund, there's an agreement that says that those committee members had to disclose any conflicts of interest to Industry Canada, and that he would have known about it and not acted. Perhaps that is what will be uncovered when those documents are released, Madam Speaker. And, certainly there's an issue there. So I think that when it comes to what happened in the slush fund, it's just another example, and we keep racking up dollars. If I think about the number of scandals that have happened in this government since I've been here in 2015, this one is $400 million. There was the $372 million they gave to Frank Baylis to make ventilators when he'd never made ventilators before, and they never ended up using any of them. On and on with the different scandals that we've seen. The We Charity scandal and the huge waste of money there. So, Madam Speaker, Canadians, are finding this particularly obscene at a